Hello everybody. My name is Vanessa Rivas and I am a 4th grade teacher here at Pink. And this is Alicia. She is a 2nd grade teacher at Allen Elementary, for those of you that don't know her. She's my classmate at UNT, and so we are doing this presentation over intellectual freedom for our library course. So go ahead and get started. There we go. Okay, so first thing is, what is intellectual freedom? Intellectual freedom means that it's the right of library users to read, seek information, and speak freely as guaranteed by the First Amendment, and that includes children, which is kind of shocking for some people because you don't think of children having just the right to read whatever they want, but according to intellectual freedom and the First Amendment, they do. I mean, of course, the parents can say no, but otherwise, it's their freedom. Intellectual freedom is the core value of library professions, and a publicly supported library provides free, equitable, and confidential access to information for all people of its community.
So to think about what this has to do with kids, the library profession, we get into censorship. And so when the basic right has been taken away, then we have materials like books, magazines, films, videos that are removed or kept from the public access. So sometimes censorship comes from parents or from other professionals, and so schools can get pressured into removing certain objects from the shelf. And once you finish reading, I'll read all of that out loud to you. And there are lots of different reasons why items can be censored.
And so one problem that librarians and teachers happen to do sometimes is self-censorship, and that's bringing in your own values and thinking about, let's say that you look at the book Harriet the Spy and you're thinking about including it in your classroom library. Well, in that book there's a lot of bad examples for children to follow, and so you might say, you know what, I'm not going to put that in my classroom library because kids could follow those bad examples. And so that's an example of a self-censorship. And you can go ahead and read. This little quote is from the American Library Association, which is a website for librarians and intellectual freedom. It says, "We distinguish between our personal convictions and professional duties and do not allow our personal beliefs to interfere with fair representation."
So one of the ways that we kind of, stand up for our intellectual freedom and for censorship is during Banned Books Week. And a banned book means that the book is actually removed off the shelf. And it was pretty shocking to see some of the books over the years that have actually been banned from private school or from school libraries or from public libraries as well. And so during Banned Book Week, that they talk about, it's a yearly event that takes place in September, and it kind of celebrates everyone's freedom to read and to read whatever they would like to read. And we have a short video that we're going to play for you guys that talks a little bit more about Banned Book.
Hi, I'm Dave Pilkey, the creator of Captain Underpants. You might have heard that Captain Underpants was the #1 most complained about book in America in 2012 and 2013. I have to admit, the news was quite a shock to me. I wondered, how could people be so offended by a series that contains no profanity, no sex, no nudity, no drugs, no smoking, no alcohol, no guns, and no more violence than a children's superhero cartoon? The best answer I could give you is this: Everybody doesn't always like the same things. A lot of people like Captain Underpants, and some people don't. Fortunately, as Americans, we live in a country where we don't all have to like the same things. The freedom to choose for ourselves what we read and think about is a hard-won right for every American. So what should you do if you find yourself offended by a book? How can you show your concern without undermining the freedoms of everyone around you? It's easy. All you have to do is make a simple change. The next time you find yourself thinking,
I don't want children to read this book,
just make a simple change. One tiny adjective can make all the difference. The next time you start to think,
that book does not belong in the library,
just make a simple change. And if you ever find yourself thinking,
I should complain about that book,
just make a simple change. You see, by changing ourselves, we can show our concern while still allowing everyone else to experience the freedoms they deserve. So make a simple change and make the world a better place.
So this is kind of eye-opening that, because most of the reasons why a book gets placed on this banned book list is because of some of the content that's in there. If there's sex or drugs, and I know a lot of the books, when we were looking at like bluebonnet books and things like that, there was a lot of homosexuality content in a lot of the books that are in our library right now. And when we have a campus K through 5th grade, and bluebonnet books are grades 3 through 6.
3 through 6.
So some of that content that, I mean, that, you know, you could talk to a 5th grader or talk to a 6th grader about. A kindergartner or 1st grader has access to those same books. And so this is kind of, you know, it's not something that I feel like as a classroom teacher I really gave much thought about, just because, you know, we read the books that are, you know, mentor texts and things that we're supposed to read. But then when kids have that, you know, option to go into the library, should they, you know, be able to have access to these books, or should these books not be accessible to them? So it kind of opens up to some real, you know, thought-provoking kind of questions and things to kind of wonder about.
Yeah. And then banned book week this year, it's always in September. Basically for banned book week, they bring out the banned books, and usually it's middle school, the upper grade levels. They bring them out, and then, you know, they kind of celebrate those books. So, can't walk away because they won't be in it. Okay. Gotta stay next to you. Okay, so we're going to do a little activity where we are going to look at different book covers, and you are going to work as a group to see if you can figure out which ones were banned and which ones are not banned. So basically 2 different groups. Okay, and if your group feels like a book is a banned book, I want you to talk about why you think that book is a banned book. When you're done with your 2 categories, go ahead and use that bag of answer keys to check your answers. I love these conversations that you guys are having over here. You're working so nice.
Involved in this one, or, you know, which other one were you talking about? Well, this one's about a bad home environment. This one could do with the slaughterhouse.
Maybe you might be on the right track.
And this one here, you know, if people, what do you, I don't know that, okay, I just keep thinking about LSD because people say it.
Oh, yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? It's hallucination or it's psychedelic. It's supposed to have psychedelic thing.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. And so y'all are deciding which of these books were banned or not banned at one point.
I'm trying to stay with you so that you're in it too. Because when I go this way, it moves with me. So which section is your banned books?
We think all of these were probably banned at one point.
You think all of them? Every single one?
Well, we think that might be.
Oh.
We have this is our band section.
And then that's your not banned?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't. With the way you're looking.
We're not really familiar with that.
The way you're
Are we right?
Why would any of the pages be?
Everyone who can read English.
Those were banned?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Banned.
Banned?
we have 3 groups.
These are banned. These are not banned,
okay.
and we don't know.
My GT
Banned
campus
and
likes to
banned.
make their own group.
They're probably all banned.
They're all banned.
Are they all banned?
You think they're all banned?
Really?
No,
Why would we
I'm
give you
asking.
all banned books?
You can't.
Ban Winnie the Pooh.
Somebody was saying because it says
Yeah,
exactly.
Winnie the
These are
Pooh.
good. These are not good.
Okay, so not banned and
Correct.
banned?
Yep.
Okay.
I have this in my class library, so I really hope it's not banned.
Yeah, you guys. Yep.
Okay, so go ahead, if you've got your 2 groups, go ahead and open up the answer key, and you'll get to see which ones were banned, and then you'll also get to see, if they were banned, the reason why. And you have to keep in mind that some of these were banned many, many years ago, or maybe more recently,
Or maybe not banned at all.
or maybe not. So Pooh was banned. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, which is it?
So maybe
It's a fine line.
Terrified principle. They fight to get to every step of the way. Conflict and political realism.
Oh, it's from Paul Holmes.
Okay.
Racist things.
Mm.
People were offended. All of them.
Has anybody read that book? I've seen the movie, but I haven't read the book.
Always seen them.
Were there racists?
I was little, so I don't even
Yeah.
know any different.
Skinny,
I
pygmy
liked it.
people who work for cocoa beans because of money.
Oh, Oompa Loompas are depicted as dark-skinned pygmy people who work for cocoa beans
Yeah.
as opposed to money.
Spend $2 in the chocolate pump. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a racist book.
Where the Wild Things Are banned.
Okay. Yep. You said that.
Dark tone. Unruly characters.
Yeah, they have
Not too much like a regular
start the
report.
romance or whatever it says. The
It's
wild
too
run.
wild.
It's too wild. Yeah, because the kids are misbehaving and they want it to be the model.
He throws a huge fit.
Oh, look what it says at the bottom. It says, nowadays you'll find far fewer libraries that still hold,
Yeah.
that still hold this ban.
Right.
Yeah. I thought it said book for a second.
Golly, we
We
were on a
were
roll.
Green eggs and ham. Who would have thought?
New things going against the status quo. I did not wish to experience this kind of thing.
You guys figured it out.
Chinese government uses the ham, the ham represents some sexual energy.
Oh, gosh.
Was a minion of temptation. The ban in China was only lifted after the good doctor's help.
This is not real.
Oh my god. Where the wild things are, let's get been around for 40 years. It hasn't always been available.
I like how it says the trippy live action film.
It is weird.
It is. It is.
He's loud, chaotic, prone to tantrums and full of mischief. Which is all the kids we teach. Okay.
Is it Charlotte said because of the pig dying? Or because of the...
Oh, good grief.
And then it was banned in another year I read because it has talking animals and it offended some country. Some country banned it because of the talking animals offended their.
It's just amazing at how you could find something offensive
Yeah, there's
to
people that can find something in every book.
in everything.
Yeah.
Everything. So you take all those books out.
One of the Bluebonnet books for next year has the homosexual family in it. So some librarians are going to carry it, and some librarians are saying no.
It's just
In Frisco? In Frisco. Yeah. They're supposed to decide as a district if they should or not, so we'll see.
People working for cocoa beans instead of money.
Okay.
Many religions and just about that.
And they had to fight to get to every stage. In fact, the conflict grew to really something that was well, I've never been nationally, to my knowledge, so that's a whole India.
No value for children. So said that the book perpetuated cowardly behavior despite the fact that the character affected by cowardice was in fact never cowardly to begin with. The land of Oz has come under fire from religious communities who promote against children with a positive image of magic and sorcery. Clearly, whatever reason people would seek to ban is classified in somewhere on the wrong side of the rainbow. This has got to be good. Not everyone has found Pooh's rumbly, tumbly, and honey sessions so endearing. The band are riding countries at one point or another, including Russia, China, Turkey. Blah, 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 blah.
Legend Nazi pie.
What?
Yeah, the entire thing was based on the fact that a single person known for supporting the Nazi Party was found to own a picture of a
Swastika.
Adorned
Pooh. Isolated case in Russia decided that Pooh is pro-Nazi or anti-Russia.
The Pooh is pro-Nazi.
Poor Pooh.
Poor Pooh.
As Pooh might say. Oh, bother.
So you guys all figured it out that all of the books that we gave to you guys were actually examples of books that were banned at some time or another, and for various reasons. So does anyone want to kind of, which one was really shocking that you guys found or that y'all talked about?
Green eggs.
Yeah. So Winnie the Pooh. It just kind of, we were kind of talking, it just goes to show you that you could probably find something offensive to one group or to one country or to one population in any book. So does that give reason to then ban that book for the entire library, the entire school district to have to go without?
Yeah.
So.
And that's the ongoing debate. I mean, all over. That's why there's even a banned books week, because it's like every single year books are published, and they always find somebody finds something wrong or offensive in a book. So.
And I know at our campus, those graphic novels, Smile, Sisters, Drama, we had a second grader check one of those books out, and the mom emailed saying there was something offensive, whether it was kind of I don't know if it was
Well, drama. So there's the same author writes Smile, Sisters, and Drama is really a middle school book, and it does have two men or boys kissing, and so really it shouldn't be in an elementary library technically, but parents think, oh, my kids love Smile and Sisters, let's get Drama too, and they don't screen it.
And it's at the book fair too,
Mm-hmm.
so I know it's available.
Mm-hmm.
So did they take it out of the library?
We don't have it here. I don't know
That's
if
a
you
good
guys.
question. I would imagine probably not. I'm not sure. We'd have to check.
Mm-hmm.
So Frisco does have a policy on banned books, and so the selection of library acquisitions on controversial issues shall endeavor to maintain a balanced collection representing various views. Library materials shall be chosen to clarify historical and contemporary forces by presenting and analyzing intergroup tension and conflict objectively, placing emphasis on recognizing and understanding social and economic problems. So you can kind of read through some of the challenge materials and then the guiding principles that Frisco follows.
Okay, and then the next part of Frisco's policy is the challenged materials. Basically, a parent of a district student, any employee, or any district resident, they can make a formal challenge on an instructional resource that's used in the district's educational program, and if it's appropriate or not. So they can actually challenge that. And then some guiding principles. The following principles shall guide the board and staff in responding to challenges of instructional resources. Do you want to read those for? Right here. Sorry.
So
A complaint.
may raise an objection to an instructional resource used in a school's educational program despite the fact that the professional staff selecting the resources were qualified to make the selection, followed the proper procedure, and adhered to the objectives and criteria for instructional resources set out in this policy. So parents' ability to exercise control over reading, listening, or viewing matter extends only to his or her children. When instructional resources are challenged, the principles of the freedom to read, listen, and view must be defended as well. Access to challenged material shall not be restricted during the reconsideration process.
Okay, and then finally, the major criterion for the final decision on challenged materials is the appropriateness of the material for its intended educational use. No challenged library material shall be removed solely because of the ideas expressed in them. So, pretty interesting.
So we have for you guys a handout on intellectual freedom, and so basically it gives you kind of some information on who the most common people are to challenge a book and the reasons why books might be challenged. And then if you have your phones and you have the QR reader, you can scan that QR code to see a list of banned and challenged classics for all ages.
Can I see them? So from looking at that graph, who challenges books the most? The parents. Yep. They're the number one. Patron means like basically in a public library, that would be a user. So if you guys walked into a library, then you would be the patron.
So Is that surprising that it's the parent that is the most common to challenge? Yeah.
I would say the top reason that books are challenged is sexuality, explicit language, and inappropriate books. Okay, so we are going to give each of you a sticky note, and on that sticky note, I want you to just reflect about how this presentation was impactful to you and your teaching position in Frisco IC. Take one, pass it down.
So we'll just kind of go around and everyone can kind of just share your reflection of anything. I know since we're not a group of librarians, but we all are part of the district and all work with kids in some way, shape, or form. So kind of just, we wanted this to be meaningful to you guys since you are working with children, and so you kind of want to just share a piece of your reflection or something that you can kind of take away. Mm-hmm. You want to start?
Mm-hmm. It just opened my eyes to the fact that almost anything can be banned.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dr. Seuss. That was interesting.
Yeah. The Dr. Seuss. Mm-hmm. Who would have thought Dr. Seuss could be banned?
Right.
Definitely.
I said it was impactful in helping me to think about book choices that I make, like including or excluding certain books based on my thoughts that that's
self-censorship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That was a big one for me, I think, during this whole presentation was my own self-censorship. I mean, I've honestly been guilty of banning Diary of a Wimpy Kid from my classroom because, you know, the kids tend to read it over and over and over and over again, and I just felt like, for me, it felt like it wasn't substantial type of reading, you know, and also in the years past, banned, I mean, I don't call it banned, but, you know, said, I'm not going to have graphic novels. Well, then I realized, you know what, some of these kids really need graphic novels. That's what's interesting. So I've learned a lot over the years, and especially with this self-censorship.
Mm-hmm. And even the Dave Pilkey talking about Captain Underpants. I will never forget when Captain Underpants first hit the shelves, and thinking, I don't want my students
I know.
to read this.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't for anything other than there was a character in his underwear on the front cover, and it just seemed like this was going to be silly and this wasn't going to be, appropriate for the classroom. But
Yeah.
those, especially I can think of little boys in my class, that's what they gravitated towards, that they wouldn't touch any other book. And so
They were reading it.
yeah,
They're
reading
it. That's the thing.
So,
yeah.
you really have to choose wisely and make sure we're not keeping kids from reading.
Yep. And it explains why the library even has certain books in there. Sometimes I walk in there as a teacher and I'm like, why is this book in here? I wouldn't have this book, but it's all about their intellectual freedom, and unless the parents don't want their own children reading it, then they have that freedom to read it.
And so this is just kind of where we were able to find some of our information for the handout and for the activity that we did. And we cannot thank you guys enough for volunteering your afternoon after school to listen to our presentation. And we do have something for you guys. So